So, knowing what you know now, obviously you've done a deep dive on this. You've looked at this from different angles. You've seen other people kind of come to it. What do you think? Like, and obviously when this first broke out in July, people were thinking there's 2 shooters. Some people weren't sure, etc. We've seen the testimony from the FBI. We've seen them, reveal some stuff on the investigation. It's still going. They're still, trying to get more information, figure out if there was another shooter or whatever happened. What do you think at this point? What do you think transpired on that day, and who do you think was involved or culpable for this? Now that this dust has kind of settled a bit.
What I think is most likely,
Okay.
I don't feel certain or confident in like saying I know for sure, but what I think is most likely is that Crooks was probably surveilled for a long time and probably groomed for this role and probably approached in some format, probably provided with these phones by, some sort of handler and kind of given this equipment and this assignment by a handler.
So you think he was put up to this? Like, this wasn't a crazy kid that decided, I don't
No,
like
I
Trump, I'm
don't
going to
think he
just
was
go
up
to
to this
Butler.
on his own.
Okay.
I doubt it.
Okay.
That's maybe, but I don't think so. I think the most likely is that he was given those encrypted phones. He was given those, encrypted those like bank accounts and given this assignment and given a little bit of training probably. And I bet that he was told that the way would be cleared for him because it takes a whole different level of balls for a 20-year-old liberal to actually take a gun in there, fly a drone around there, like go like do this whole operation, get
It's
up on
kind
the
of
fucking roof
reckless.
with a gun.
It's kind of reckless.
Yeah, like I know a lot of liberals, and I mean, a lot of them talk a big game, but like find anyone that's 21 years old that'll actually get up there on that roof with a gun, like And so
That
I
was
wouldn't be
ballsy.
surprised if there were handlers,
Fucking
and if
ballsy.
those handlers provided him with the shit and kind of told him like, this is your route, this is how you're gonna get in, get up there at this time, and we'll make sure that you're cleared and no one will be watching you, because you would need to kind of like set those nerves at ease so this inexperienced kid feels like he can actually pull this off. Because if you were just a lone gunman trying to do this, you'd have to be fucking to think that you would pull this off. Like that's the stupidest fucking idea I've ever heard. And the actual like route that he took, the location he took the shot from and everything, that's not a great like that's obviously a place where if you didn't know where Secret Service was and you were expecting them to run a real detail, that would not be a good place to be. They would fucking see you. You would get shot right away. Like
Yep.
that's not a good plan, right? A better plan would be to have a longer gun and more training and go somewhere like the water tower or go somewhere like up in the trees or like there's a whole fucking like stadium in the other direction across the street. Kind of it's a little further away, so you'd have to be a good shot, but there's all kinds of like enclosed seating and stuff in that stadium that I'm pretty sure you can get a line of fire from. So like if you were trying to do this as a lone gunman, I feel like there'd be way smarter ways to do it. And the way he did it, to me, just sort of implies that he was told it would be okay to be there and that that's where he should shoot from. And I would assume that they had sort of given him a scenario of like, here's your plan. You take that shot. This is how you're going to get out. We'll run cover. We'll obfuscate the thing. You'll get away. You'll get paid, whatever it is. Or maybe you'll get arrested and then we'll kind of like, we'll get you out on insane, whatever it is. Like, I bet that he was told a story that made him feel like he was going to be taken care of and like he was doing a good thing in some form.
Yeah.
And I would assume that if you're running like, because the way I see it again is like,
Do you
it's
think
either
he
him
knew
on
he
his
was
own
gonna
or it's a
live?
real operation.
So you think like this wasn't like a self deletion mission? Like you think that he went in thinking I'll probably make it out of this thing
Good
alive?
point. That's the only way that I could imagine it being truly a lone gunman.
Okay.
And that's not out of the question because like the dude had mental health issues. He looked the part for being ready to delete himself. Like I would believe that if we got more evidence to kind of like confirm that all the Secret Service bungling of the operation and all the weird cover up that happened ever since was truly incompetence, I would totally believe it.
Okay.
And if we got some sort of confirmation that that is what happened, I would be like, totally fair play.
Okay.
But when I weigh in like all of the Secret Service weird shit that happened
Big blunders.
with the guys leaving and just kind of like just leaving the most obvious place to take a shot from just wide open for minutes. And
Crazy,
and
dude.
places that they were like literally like the window that Greg and his buddy were supposed to be at is like literally overlooking that entire roof. That's like their one job is to look at the roof where Thomas Crooks was crawling around on for multiple minutes. And there's like people shouting, there's a guy on the roof, like outside these open windows that you could, probably hear them all shout. So anyways, like if it is an operation and Crooks has any sort of help, I assume it's a real operation because you're not going to get your hands dirty just to get caught. You're going to get your hands dirty so you can fucking succeed at your mission. And if you're running a real operation, then you'd have a real shooter somewhere hidden farther back or like up and somewhere far smarter with a similar line of fire would be my assumption. I mean, obviously I don't know how these things work, but that's what I would think. Because you'd get a guy up in the trees in the back or like up on the water tower with a zip line or something. Although I don't think we have evidence I think we have evidence that didn't happen. People were speculating even about maybe like in the space between the ceiling and the roof inside of the building, there's like all these little vents, and people were speculating that maybe someone could have been lying in there. And it's like, maybe, but like, I don't know.
What do you think about, so you think that so you think that he definitely had people that put him up to it and he had some sort of assistance, which makes sense because obviously this was a crazy thing to pull off. Do you, but we don't know who it is, right? Do you think they've been trying to say Iran, which I think is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, they looked like they had that line all ready to go.
Yeah.
And that adds to my suspicion. Like multiple parts of that is they were ready to throw, like, imagine if we didn't have X and we didn't have all this media that was like us reporting on it and they were allowed to give us the narrative.
Yeah.
They were ready to feed us like his bank accounts are tied to Iran.
Yeah.
And Bibi had a fucking speech in front of Congress already like scheduled for the next week. And his speech was all about blaming Iran. And even though we'd already debunked it, he still went and gave basically the same speech. And he tried to pin that assassination attempt on Iran. And it just, I mean, it kind of, we all glossed over it on the internet because we were busy counting like 57 standing ovations or some stupid trash.
Yeah.
But blamed it on Iran. And that's like, just think about the timing of all of that just coincidentally. That's pretty fucking weird.
No, you're right. You're right. It is. It like, because he went right after all this happened. He was at Congress delivering his speech saying I need more money, and then the FBI arrested this guy, which I did a whole case on that, saying that he was plotting to kill an American government official. This fucking guy, this murder for hire case out of where was it? Was it New York? I forget where exactly it was out of. But regardless, I mean, this is all wild to me that that all this transpired and they're trying to blame it on Iran, right? And then now, right, we see what's going on in Lebanon. We see the ground assault. And after Hezbollah, who are they going to go after next? They're going to go after Iran. And then you talk about October 7th and how, you got one of the most sophisticated borders in the world, and they were able to somehow get invaded by these dudes with RPGs and fucking paragliders. What the hell's going on? Right?
It's all very clean break report to me. I mean, it's got 100 shades of sort of like 9/11 taking us into Iraq, which is like, what's the link there, And now it's like they're reporting that they have intelligence sources saying there's credible threats on Trump's life from Iran. But it's like, yeah, the one that told us that Saddam had weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah.
Where are these intelligence sources and why are they credible? And so like, I don't know. It just adds up to being very suspicious to me. So I have questions. And the way I see it is if it was a lone gunman and I'm wrong, then it's like, who's hurt by that? Like my reputation a little bit, maybe. But if it was our own plotting to pin it on Iran and kill Trump and get us into World War III, if that's what actually happened, like I would way rather be expecting that and looking for that and maybe be wrong and it's a lone gunman than to be like, it's for sure a lone gunman and be totally blindsided by them pinning it on Iran and taking us to war in Iran. So
and this dude was Pakistani,
I sort of like skew
too.
Towards that.
The guy that they arrested,
well.
this guy for murder for hire, he's a fucking Pakistani. So, I mean, again, all of this just...
When was that? Was that like a week, like shortly after Crooks?
Yeah, not too long after Crooks. They fucking picked this guy up. And the hit allegedly was supposed to happen like a day or two before Crooks was arrested, or shot. So it's just everything is just so weird in this situation. How I agree with you. Like if we didn't have independent media, they totally could have spun this as an Iranian hit, etc. I mean, if you look at, imagine, I was thinking about this literally when you mentioned that, like we have independent media, so people are able to get an alternative side. Imagine if we had independent media during 9/11.
Bingo, dude. For real.
Imagine.
Everything would have been different. And so that's why it's like, I think that there's almost like, I don't think that they're advanced enough to evolve and adapt to this digital age. I don't think that they can pull off this kind of shit anymore because honestly, the guys that like were in charge of all of this back in like Vietnam, 9/11 era, a lot of those eras were like, a lot of them were really fucking good at their job. Like the George H.W. Bush Vietnam CIA operations, a lot of them have never been exposed in a mainstream way to this day because they were so good at running these covert operations and keeping them all tight and not letting the media get them. And today it's like not only do we have all this decentralized media, but a lot of them also suck ass at their fucking jobs. It's like Judith Miller, kind of a fucking trash. Like Christopher Wray, Kimberly Cheadle, whoever the fuck is on these things, like they don't seem to be super great at it.
Yeah.
Just based upon like how I mean, I guess I might caveat that as in like it looks like there's different intelligence agency operations going on. Like J6, there's a certain level of intelligence operation that happened during J6, a certain one that happened during Antifa. I don't know if it was necessarily the CIA directly, but some sort of covert groups that were co-opting these movements.
Mm-hmm.
And they did a pretty fucking good job of that, of like co-opting and spinning a narrative and sort of like turning that on itself. But then you look at like the Trump assassination and like, dude, that shit got botched.
And his
Although
parents
to be fair,
are radio
it kind
silent.
of got lucky.
His parents didn't say anything, which is kind of weird.
You see the videos of his dad walking around with the person in the hood and the mask?
No, what the hell?
Oh, it's super weird, dude. So yeah, like literally the next like 2 days later after the shooting, Crooks's dad is going to the grocery store with like a dude the same height as Crooks, a person, because we don't know their gender, and they're all hooded up and they've got sweatpants on and a hoodie, and the hoodie is cinched up tight around their head, and they have sunglasses and a mask, and they're like just like not answering any questions, just going to the grocery store and coming back. And it's like, who the fuck is that?
What?
Who the fuck is that? It was so weird. There was like 2 or 3 different videos that came out of him at the grocery store and I think going into their house for a little bit there.
Wow.
And for a minute there, then it's like, okay, maybe it was Maxwell Urich on the roof and Thomas Crooks was actually not even there at all. And like, what the fuck is going on? So that's where like, I don't know what happened, but I know it's suspicious.
This episode is sponsored by Rumble Premium. The sponsorships from Rumble, one that is incredibly important to the survival of all of the companies. When Rumble first started in 2013, they built the platform for small creators, and they didn't censor or have biases. They were fair, treated all creators equally, and no one thought that these platforms would censor political conversations or censor opinions on the bear bug, but they did. Facebook admitted they fell into the pressure from the Biden and Harris administration, but Rumble did not. They held the line. And they were attacked from daily giving us the voice to talk to you. They are attacked from corporate media. They are attacked by the governments like France. They are attacked from brand advertisers who refuse to work with them. Corporate America is fighting to remove free speech. Rumble is fighting to keep it. Rumble will not survive with brand advertisers. They don't get much of it. Watching our show on Rumble is the most that they ask from you. But if you really believe in this fight and you have the means, one major way you can help Rumble survive is joining Rumble Premium. Join a community that believes in the First Amendment and believes in our human rights to free speech. Rumble is offering $10 off with the promo code STUDIO when you purchase an annual subscription. Go to rumble.com/premium and use the code STUDIO. Like I said, if you have the means and believe in the cause, now is the time to join Rumble Premium. And if you don't have the means, we're just happy to watch us on Rumble. So one more time, rumble.com/premium, use the code STUDIO. And thank you, Rumble Premium, for sponsoring this episode.